Welcome to the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast with your host, hailing from Kokona, Wisconsin, riding a CST Tires SSI Decals traveling back Yamaha YFC 450R, four-time ATV Motocross National Champion, number 25, Cody Jansen.
Back from Sam.
What's up, everybody? We're back. I'm your host, Cody Jansen. This is episode 76 of the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, CST Tires, available for purchase and in stock today at shop.csttires.com. And tonight, we'll be joined by an old friend. In fact, he's probably one of my longest-term friends that I've ever had. See, long before he was an AMA ATV Pro Class holeshot award winner and a top 5 overall finisher, before he was a multi-time Pro-Am victor and 8-time ATV Motocross National Champion, Factory Sam Rowe was my best friend. We grew up together, and he just so happened to turn out to be one hell of a racer. So I can't wait to get Sam on here to join me, laugh about old times, dig into his career, and he just got back from spending 2 weeks down by Jeffrey Rastrelli, so we'll talk plenty of 2022 ATV motocross as well tonight. This is going to be a blast. But quickly, I'd like to shout out all of our incredible partners. CST Tires, go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Thank you to Ssi Decals, DID Racing Chain, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Impact Solutions, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, Forworks Carbon, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Integrated Financial Concepts and their Safe to Race and Safe to Ride insurance programs, Binky's Forever ATC Museum, Evans Waterless Power Sports Coolant, and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. Their clippers rock, their nose hair trimmer is amazing, and the new Lawnmower 4.0 electric trimmer is next level. Outside the industry sponsors are rare in our sport, so help us keep Manscaped involved with Digging Deep and ATV Motocross as a whole long into the future. I suggest the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0, which includes the new Lawnmower 4.0 electric trimmer that I rely on to help keep my beard on point, the best nose hair trimmer ever created, and an array of goodies like deodorant, boxer briefs, a travel bag, and more. So check out Manscaped, I wish I would have sooner, and get 20% off with free shipping by using code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. And if you DM us a screenshot of an order using our discount code, we'll send you a Digging Deep snapback for free. That code is DIGGINGDEEP20 for 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Support all the great companies that support us, and for any products that fall through the cracks, click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website to help us out. The 2022 season is almost here, and we both know you need parts and gear. No matter what off-road gear parts you need, Rocky Mountain ATVMC has you covered. But before you buy, simply click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner on our website. By using our specific link, we get a percentage of what you buy on the back end, enabling you to help us out while purchasing the parts you need anyway. And did you know that you can buy OEM parts from Rocky Mountain ATVMC as well? Yep, shipped conveniently right to your door. So click that Rocky Mountain ATVMC banner at diggingdeepatvmx.com to help us out while satisfying all your gear and parts needs. That link is on the right side of our homepage, and right underneath that, you'll find our new Amazon widget. Click that Amazon logo on the right side of your screen, purchase whatever your heart desires, and that will help us down the road. We can't thank you enough for that. No new donors to shout out this week, but if you're interested in donating and hearing your name on the show, you can find the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee donation links on our website. And thanks to all of you who have donated. We appreciate you guys beyond words. Our content is free to our listeners. It always will be, so donations go a long way for us to help us justify all that we continue to invest into this thing. Thanks again, guys. Now, it's showtime. The 30-second board is up. It's sideways, and the gate is down. Time to dig deep with Factory Sam Rowe right here on the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. Let's go. All right, guys, I'm really excited for this week's guest. We've had plenty of individuals join the show here who I know quite well, but I literally grew up with this guy. We spent months on end together back in the day, and he ended up being one hell of a racer. Brought to you by Namura Technologies, your one-stop shop engine component supplier. For information about Namura's wide offerings of pistons, rings, gaskets, top-end repair kits, and recently added connecting rods, visit your local dealer or online at namura.com. Say hello to former AMA ATV Pro and multi-time Pro-Am winner, Mr. Factory Sam Rowe. What's up, buddy? Thanks so much for being here. I'm stoked for this one. We've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's good to finally be on the show. Like you said, we've talked about it, 10 to 15 times, and we just never made it happen. And it's good to finally be on here, man.
Yeah, it's exciting. I've wanted to get you on for some time now, but I'm glad that we waited until episode 76 because there could not be a better time to sit down with you. You just got back from a trip down by our buddy, Jeffrey Rastrelli. Weather is a little better down there than it is here in Wisconsin, but from the way it looked on social media, you needed to be on the payroll or something at Rastrelli Racing. It looked like you were working your tail off down there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the weather, it's funny you say that. It was a lot better than Wisconsin, but it was still pretty chilly. The first week, it was 39, 40 a couple of days. So,
okay.
That's cold for Florida. But the second week, we got some better temps into the 80s and 70s. But yeah, man, we did a bunch of work down there. It was cool to just be back around the sport almost, like we talked a little bit earlier. I kind of needed a little break after I had to step away, but being back down there almost in a different role, kind of being mechanic life for Jeffrey, it was super enjoyable, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. It was definitely no vacay. I could see from the social post that it was no vacay for you, but at the same time to get away from the weather. Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was seeing like the stuff going around like Facebook and whatever, the falling iguanas,
Yeah. My mom and sister asked me about that. It's funny.
Oh man, yeah, but yeah, it was awesome to see you down there and just you're posting videos. You could tell like your hands are all dirty. Like I said, it looked like you're working your tail off. So, what did Jeffrey have you doing down there? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So when I first got down there, he had just blown up his stalker that he was riding the day previous. And so he had nothing to ride then at that point. So for like the first 2 days, we just worked on his brand new practice bike, just finishing up all the little ends. He had all the main stuff together, but we just had to, basically tighten all the shock bolts and the swing arm, put the chain on, set the front end up, all that stuff. So we went and rode a couple of days at Mesa on his dirt bike just for fun, some cross training. He actually has improved a ton on that thing since I first seen him ride it.
Okay.
He actually looks like a bike guy, not a quad guy riding a bike when he rides a dirt bike.
Okay.
But yeah, just all the little stuff to finish up a brand new bike. And we got it done. And then after that, he had me pull out some motors out of his stalkers because one was brand new and that's going to be one of his race motors. We had to send that off to Baldwin. And then the other one, we took to WMR. It's a KTM shop just kind of down the road from him. And that place is honestly, I wouldn't even call it a dealership, dude. It's a full blown race store. That place is immaculate. They have CNC machines and everything. Like I've never been in that high level of a facility. It was super cool to take a walk through.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty much just anything I could do to help him out, and make his life easier.
Yeah.
So he could just focus on training and riding. I was doing it, man. Pressure washing the bike, you name it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, when I saw that you were going to go down there, I was like, just figured you were going to be hanging out with Jeffrey or whatever. And it obviously became, more than that. So obviously, new situation for Jeffrey this season, kind of like you're talking about there, building his own business and his own race program, Rastrelli Racing. We've seen it all over the internet at this point. He was on our show talking about it, announcing it. So give me some insight into like how things are looking, how he feels about it, because like I said, this is a big change for him. And how is Jeffrey riding, 1 month before Daytona? You guys were at Deckers a week ago at this time, I think. So
correct.
Tell me about all that. How's Jeffrey feel about it first off?
So yeah, with the business thing, the biggest thing, I think he's just really putting all his effort and money and everything into himself and investing in himself. And I think it's really going to pay off for him. Man, I've said this a little bit before. I've never seen him this focused and motivated and hungry. He wants to win, not just compete and get podiums. He wants to win. And it's so good to see he's got everything figured out with his diet and his health. And man, I just think he's in a really good place for this upcoming year.
Mm-hmm.
And, I almost could say I know better than anyone. I went down there for 7 years to train before the season.
Yeah.
And, the first day I got there, he did 2 35-minute motos on his dirt bike. And I was like, who is this dude? And then, right away, first day on the quad, he's just busting out 25, 30-minute motos. And at this point, neither of us usually could do more than 10, 15 minutes, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
And so right off the bat, just being down there and just in a day or two of being with him, I noticed like a different Jeffrey than I've ever seen before. And I think it all leads back to Rastrelli Racing and his own program. And it's all him. Well, and DJ from Rocket and FXR and some people have stepped up to help him out. But really, at the end of the day, it's all on him. And I think it's going to pay off for him at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've said a few times now since talking about this, and I said it to him. I feel like, more ownership or whatever of your whole race program. It's like you have more at stake almost. You're not riding somebody else's bikes, and it's not somebody else's gig, it's your own. So obviously, investing in yourself like that, like you're gonna want to go do that much better. Like I feel like that's just how it goes. But yeah, like I hope that people are supporting the business, and I hope that continues to grow, because like this could be a situation for Jeffrey that isn't just a 1-year gig. Like he wants it to be, for multiple years.
Absolutely.
Or like the start of something big for him.
Absolutely. I was told the numbers of their first month. I'm not going to say it, but for their first month, I think they're doing pretty well, for being, it was actually 3 weeks in. So, okay. I think, like you said, yeah, this is just the beginning. And I think when the season starts and they see Jeffrey and they see how he's riding and they see him perform, I think that's only going to help his business take off. Because I'm telling you, man, I think he is going to be very strong this year.
Yeah, for sure. So I talked to him like a couple days after, because the business was introduced when we dropped that episode with him announcing this move for him and stuff.
Yep.
And I will say that, it was a couple days in, and things weren't looking that good as far as numbers go for the business. I'm like, just people are just learning about all this, you got to play the long game. So everybody, obviously the listeners, we want them to support Rastrelli Racing. I think it's awesome because, he's a supplier, that he believes in the product, he's choosing to use it. Plus, like I said to him, having that interaction, the customer to rider to Jeffrey interaction, like I feel like that's something that customers should want to do too. Like you have an opportunity to, talk to Jeffrey, deal with Jeffrey, take his suggestion on product, which I think is an awesome concept. It's very similar to like we've seen with what Chad does. So obviously it can
and
be
look at Wien and Motorsports,
that's what I'm saying.
When he started that, it wasn't huge right away,
exactly.
And he started winning and next thing you know, Wien and Motorsports, it's a big deal company in today's industry, so I think he just has to stick with it and keep working hard, and I think it'll pay off in the end for him.
Yeah, I'm stoked for him. What about did you come home and are you plant-based now? Tell me about that.
No, I wouldn't say that, but it definitely made me think, because I had some food, man, and I wouldn't have even been able to tell that it was plant-based, like some burger sliders and chicken sliders and just so many different dishes, and then just some stuff that's like clearly plant-based that Nikki would make. And it really wasn't that bad. I was a little nervous about it, honestly, at first, but and then it's funny you bring up the food, because you were saying I need to be put on the payroll at Rastrelli Racing. Well, Jeffrey was paying me with food, basically. He kept me fed, and coffee in me, Red Bulls, whatever I needed to be happy.
Right.
So,
hey, plant-based ain't cheap.
it ain't cheap, man. But yeah, honestly, I was very surprised by how good some of the food was. I think there was only one or two things that I tried and I was like, not for me, but for the most part, man, it impressed me. I was nervous about it too. It's funny you bring that up.
I agree. I've had some of that stuff too. And yeah, it's impressive. Like sometimes you wouldn't even know. So that's awesome. I needed to ask about that because that's been a big life change for him.
Absolutely.
Okay. So how do you see this going for Jeffrey? It seems like the general consensus is that he's going to actually like grab another gear now that he's out on his own. So now you've been down there, you've been, obviously inserted into his program for some time, for a little bit there, for a couple weeks. So are you in agreement with that? Like, do you think he's truly going to grab another gear?
I mean, I absolutely do. I am going to put this out there at the bare minimum. I think he's going to be the solid third place guy at the bare minimum this year. And like I said earlier, how I was seeing him this early in the preseason, I truly believe that I think he can get up there and contend, and I think he can win, man. I really do.
Well, that's gonna be exciting. I think that so many of us would love to see that. There's so many people that love Jeffrey. Obviously, how do you not like the guy? So that would be awesome to see. I saw you even threw a leg over the YFZ 450R for some laps. That had to feel good. Tell me about that.
Oh, it was super cool, man. That videos I posted on Instagram, I literally did 5 laps and I was like halfway through my sight lap and I'm like, dude, I already got arm pump. and man, I don't know. I jumped everything on like the second or third lap and there was kind of a couple little sketchy jumps there at Miami, but nothing too crazy. But dude, yeah, I had the worst arm pump I think I have ever gotten in my career after 5 laps. My arms were like concrete bricks. But it felt super good. And that was the first time I ever rode a Yamaha as well. And
yeah,
I was thoroughly impressed with it. Just the fuel injection, and his bike was set up pretty good. It turned really nice. And just the torque of it felt really good compared to my old Hondas. Honestly, I think the YFC is the way to go these days. And if you're not going that way, I don't know what you're doing, in my opinion. But man, it was great to be back on the bike and just spend some laps again. That's all I did, but I was sore for like 2 days after that. So it was fun though.
Yeah, that's funny. I feel like every spring when I start riding again, because after the big layoff of Wisconsin winters.
Yeah, it had been 2 years for me since I rode a 4-wheeler, so that was even a little extended over the winter,
Yeah, so but it takes me days. Like I'll be sore absolutely. For days. I'll feel like I got my ass kicked for days.
Absolutely.
But yeah, commenting on the Yamaha thing, when I first rode one, it was basically a bone stocker, and I couldn't believe
how good they are.
Yeah, not flash ECU, not nothing, and to just feel like how long the gears were and how forgiving it was and how good that rear shock was and all that stuff. Like I was blown away. So, and the biggest thing, and I've said this on these shows, but the biggest thing is like when I would practice on my Hondas, even up until, last fall, you were always worried. You're like, man, it's not if it's going to break, it's when it's going to break.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And from what I'm told, that's not going to be the case with the Yamaha. Which is exciting for me. So Sam, so when did you retire? Was it after 28? No, it wouldn't have been 2018. It must have been 2019.
Yep. After 2019 was. So 2019 was my last year.
So that was the JH year. And it's it's crazy to think that it's been that long already. Was it hard to step away for you at that time? Because you were still only in your early 20s, your mid 20s now. But you had literally done it your entire life up to that point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was super hard to step away, but it was time, and I do believe it was the right decision. It was just tough. Like you said, I've done it my whole life, and pretty much from 2007 to 2019, I was at the Nationals every year. I didn't miss like hardly a race. So it was definitely super challenging to just step away kind of cold turkey like that. And it took me a little bit to deal with that and, just kind of move on. And I think I'm ready now to be kind of show up a little more and be back around the sport kind of in a different light than being in the pro class, even if it's, just hanging out and wrenching on some quads or maybe just practicing or even who knows, 20, maybe 25 plus, maybe come race you, it would be fun. So, it was tough to step away, but I'm glad I did it when I did it, to be honest. I think it was the right move.
Yeah, I mean, things were obviously different for you and I, where you kind of stepped completely away. For me, it was just like rolling it back and doing it for fun. Sure. Yeah. But I knew like you and I, and we've never had the conversation, but I knew you and I could have the conversation because I knew when you walked away, you were ready to, as far as like just being burned out. And I was too. But what I wanted to comment on was the fact that you had literally done it your entire life. And you said, there's that span of 12 years or 13 years or whatever it wasn't in nationals full time. But Absolutely. there's that picture of you hanging up at my dad's shop, at my parents' shop, of you on the ice on that TRX 90.
I think it's 2004, I think.
What? 04, 03 or whatever it is,
something like that,
with wooden blocks on the foot pegs so that you could touch. Yeah, exactly. So again, Absolutely. Like it's tough. So not only had you done it for your entire life, but also like that's where all your friends are. And I feel like that's the tough part, is if you're like not going to the races anymore, now you're like away from your best buddies. And that's like an added hard part to that.
Oh, for sure. Some of my best friends I've ever met in my life, I met through racing, like Jeffrey being, one of them. And, I have plenty of friends around here, but the racing friends, it's kind of like a different bond and a different friendship because you guys both had the same passion and love for motocross and the sport. And I think that just breeds a whole different relationship. And, but yeah, it was definitely tough to step away.
Yeah. I was curious to ask you that question, but you're exactly right. You connect with those people on a different level because they know you. They know, like, they think the same way. They've gone through the same things. So yeah, like that's why we end up having so many close friends in the racing world. But speaking of friends, so I was trying to think back to like our first memory together. And I can envision you and your dad sitting at my dad's desk, and man, you must have been like 5 or 6.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Somewhere in there.
7, something like that. It must have been that, that same period that we were just talking about, that picture. So I would have been like close to 10 at the time, because you're the same age as Dallas. So I'm 4 years older than you. But, my first memories together, like we were already best buddies. So it must have happened fast.
Absolutely. I think my first memory is that at least like distinctive memory. Hey, do you remember that flat track race? Where was it at? Ashtabula or something? Where my dad crashed your dad's 250 Assalon. My dad crashed your dad's 250R, and then I wadded up the P-dub and got ran over by the whole class.
I remember that.
Definitely my earliest memory.
I remember that. My dad still talks about that to this day. Every once in a while, if it comes up, because that's that was his pristine 250R, right? And
it was brand new. Oh yeah, it was
and
built.
Your dad goes out and flips the thing on the first lap of practice.
And then later that night, I get mowed down by the P-dub 50 class
on our P-dub. Yeah, I remember. And I remember, this is how young and stupid we were, I remember taking a Sharpie and drawing 38 on the number plate on the front. Do you remember that? Yeah. So
because we didn't have any stickers.
Exactly.
So we made it work.
Exactly. So I mean, our friendship goes so far back. I remember, and this wouldn't have been my first memory, but it's an early memory. Is I remember sleeping over at your house, and we only lived 20 minutes apart, but I remember sleeping over at your house, and it was you, DJ Sperling, and myself. And I thought that listeners might get a kick out of that because we all went on to be, quite involved in the ATV world. But back then we were just a bunch of squirrely kids with dreams of becoming something in the ATV world.
For sure.
So
go ahead.
That's
crazy you say that because, just DJ and me and you and DJ now with everything going on at Rocket. And, it's just cool, man, to look back at the memories and, the amount of fun we had back in the day, dude. Those were honestly the days. Or another memory I got, man, it's a little bit later on, but when we would supermoto the mopeds in your parking lot, and we'd have like the gravel section, and then we'd have like the loading ramps laid out for whoops, and we're just bombing them. There's so much more. I mean, the amount of laps we've done on pitters together and just everything, man. We've spent a lot of time together.
Oh, building in the wintertime, if there's nothing else to ride, building courses in the shop for the scooters, the push scooters, like stuff that should not be being done. It was not safe. And yeah, like pit bikes, mopeds on the motocross track. I mean, it was next level.
We needed a film crew for us back then, man. If we had some of that would be legendary.
I know it, but it'll live on in my memory forever.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's funny how it is all connected because like with DJ, bringing up DJ Sperling now of, Rocket Machining and Design, but back then, so like I wouldn't say I was jealous of DJ, but I always
he was kind of the kid though back then. He was so fast.
He was gnarly, and even though he was like he was younger than me, but I always kind of looked up to DJ because he was a youth national champ.
Yep, for sure.
So he was like a big thing back here in Wisconsin, and that's the part that I was jealous of. Not being a big deal, but the fact that he got to go to all the races and travel the country and go to the nationals, and the nationals were such a big mysterious thing. Absolutely. And like at that time, like I feel like I only raced like Gravity Park a little bit because if memory serves me correctly, the first time we ever went, like Dad and I ever went to a motocross race and raced motocross anywhere but Gravity Park was a Tigerton Quad Series event. And I think that was with you guys. And I think that, you and your dad helped us kind of get into the motocross world. But I remember, because I distinctly remember your dad, because I had never had to wash my bike, wash my quad at a track before. And I remember your dad being like, now don't, it doesn't need to be perfect, just wash your number plate off and you're good. But I remember Tigerton, it to me, it was like going to Redbud. It was this big thing, back then.
Well, back then, dude, with how big quad racing was in Wisconsin, I mean, it was a big deal, dude. That Dash for Cash race with Doug Gus, Corey Gauthier, Eddie Dejanef, Heather Bird showed up.
Dunkelberger.
I mean, there was some big names back in the day that showed up to that stuff. And it's crazy to think where the ATV industry is now in Wisconsin. And at one point, dude, we had local races. We were pulling 300 entries, and it's just crazy to see the sport go through a cycle like this. And I miss the old days, man. Those were the heydays, dude. You didn't have to drive across the country to go to a huge race. We had one right in our backyard all the time, almost, it seemed like.
Oh yeah.
And that was amazing. It's crazy.
Yeah, with hundreds of entries, upwards of 300 entries at a local race. And it was so gnarly. And there was so much talent when you think of, Doug Gus being a Wisconsin guy and Russell Shoemaker and like you said, Corey Gauthier, Eddie Dejanef, Nick DeNoble.
Yeah. How could I forget Nick? Of course.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's funny. The crazy part, Sam, is that that kind of still remained, even though it wasn't left over necessarily from back then, but excluding you and I, but then there was, Parker and
he came out of nowhere too, honestly. I never even heard of him growing up. And then all of a sudden I figure out he's from Wisconsin and he rips whoa.
And
where did you come from?
And now Max,
absolutely. Yeah.
So it's crazy. Wisconsin has held their own, even though it's not like it used to be back then. But like you said, it was so gnarly back then. It made it easy for us because we you were racing great competition here, and that was really honing your craft for the races nationally.
Well, one thing I will say, I remember racing Brian Kinsvogel and Lane Lauer, man. Those were my local race battles, dude. I mean, we had some crazy races back then. And like you said, it's just crazy to think, the talent that was around back then. I mean, it was so stacked, and it like now we got Max Lindquist holding it down for the Wisconsin boys in the pro class, and that's cool to see still that we have someone from around here, out there doing good. And I hope he does well this year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I think that like the same thing that was like with me and DJ, like there was absolutely no hard feelings. Like I like those guys, everything like that. But like I distinctly remember it when we got a little older, like when I was on a Blaster and he was on a 300EX.
For sure.
And again,
when things get a little more serious then too, that's like you're getting older. Right. So it's going to get a little more intense,
And he was substantially younger than me. Like, I feel like he's closer to your age than he is my age, but still like I wanted to beat him because he was the national kid, so
for sure.
And I feel like you got some of that too, like on a local level, like Kinsvogels and
everyone shot for me, man.
Exactly.
I was the kid, dude. I remember, I forget his name. But there was one kid too. I was like on a 150 and he was on a 300EX, dude. And every race I'd have to come from the back and pass him. And it was always a dogfight, man. We'd be hitting each other off the track and all kinds of crazy things, man.
Oh, that's funny. So if I ask you and this might be going back a touch, but what is your very first like riding memory?
Okay, I got one for this. It's not a very good one. Like it was scary and bad, but looking back, it's crazy to think about that even happened. Okay. I was on a little Dinley 90. We talked about the blocks I had to stand on so I could touch.
Yep.
And we had this little grass field track and the grass was super tall. And I forget where I was riding at my aunt and uncle's house or grandparents or something. Okay. And the grass is super high and me and my cousin are ripping in the field. And we didn't know it, but we're going opposite directions on the track. And we ended up running into each other wide open, head on, and like went flying and like I crashed and I'm bawling my eyes out and freaking out. I was just a little kid. Like I'm like probably 5 or 6 years old at this point. Okay. And, we were both fine and everything, but it was super scary, like we were both pinned on a 90 and just smacked. That's probably my first like real distinctive riding memory. And I think it stuck with me because it scared the heck out of me, So it just really stuck with me.
We obviously reference Dallas a lot on the show because he's the producer. Yeah. But Dallas at one time had like a little daredevil in him too. Like he would go out on the pit bike track and he would, pin it on the Dinley. And I remember him like coming in and be like, Cody, watch this. And he goes outside and he's like hitting these jumps as fast as the quad would go. I couldn't believe it. And then, so when his riding career ended, it was a 2-pack. Him and I were riding somehow in the parking lot and we touched tires. And Dallas didn't know what was going to happen if we touched tires and we were on like Etons or Dinleys or something. And it spit him off and he's still got the scars in his arms to this day. So that was what started it. And then in my mind, at least like during that time period, he got in a tank slapper on that same PW that you crashed at Ascalon and pinned. And those things are pretty fast if you get them up to speed.
Oh yeah. Once you get moving for sure.
So he was going across the farm field and got in a tank slapper and wadded it up hard, and that's when he called it quits.
End of my career.
so your career took a little different turn there. We'll get right back to the show, but now a word from our sponsors. And thank you for listening to these ads. Without these great companies, none of this would be possible. Show your support for the people who support us. Welcome to the team, two-time champ Joel Hetrick, who dropped the biggest news of the offseason when he announced his move to CST Tires. The CST takeover has been gaining momentum over the past several seasons, and now Joel Hetrick and his Phoenix Racing teammate Jeffrey Rastrelli are the most recent additions. The Pulse MXR tire has helped lead riders like Thomas Brown to race wins and 3 consecutive Quad Cross of Nations titles, Nick Janusa to the Pro Class podium, myself Cody Jansen as I rode my Pulse MXR fronts and white label soft compound rears to back-to-back national championships in the Junior 25 Plus class, and the most recent additions have us thinking a Pro Class national championship is on the horizon for CST tires. The Pulse MXR tire, available in soft and standard compounds, offers the highest level of traction, most predictable cornering, and superior wear characteristics when compared to the competition. Visit shop.csttires.com to join the CST takeover today, or prepare to be beat by someone who did. Joel Hetrick, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Nick Janusa, myself, and so many others are believers in CST tires. Are you? CST Tires, where passion meets the ground. You already know we're Team Blue Crew here at the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. Whether it's second all-time winningest, 7-time and reigning ATVMX Pro Class National Champion Chad Wienen, or 6-time and current XC1 Pro ATV GNCC National Champion Walker Fowler, it's clear the podium-proven Yamaha YFC 450R is the winning choice of sport ATVs. This unprecedented success for the YFC 450R, its unrivaled quality and performance, and the undeniable fact that Yamaha is the leading OEM supporter of ATV racing has created a Yamaha takeover within the sport quad market. Better yet, Yamaha's Blue Crew Racer Support Program is back and even stronger for 2021, meaning Yamaha riders are about to cash in on higher payouts and more prize opportunities, including a chance to win a brand new YFZ 450R. For more info, head over to YamahaBlueCrew.com, follow them on social media at Yamaha Outdoors, and check out Yamaha's full proven off-road lineup at YamahaOutdoors.com today. Ssi Decals is a name synonymous with ATV racing, synonymous with big-time success, and absolutely synonymous with the best-looking decals around. An offshoot of their parent company that was established in 1947, SSI first took shape from owner Ian Harris's passion for ATVs. With what started as just making numbers and decals for riders like Chad Wienen, the company quickly took off, and today you couldn't imagine ATV motocross without SSI Decals. The graphics maker and designer now supports all the top teams in ATV motocross, as well as teams and riders racing GNCC, Work Series, Pro Motocross and Supercross, Canadian Pro Motocross, short course off-road trucks, UTVs, snowcross, and oh yeah, 6-time NHRA World Champion Clay Milliken. No project is too big or too small for SSI Decals, making your identity stick with championship level graphics. Head over to SSIDecals.com today and then maybe call the doctor because things are about to get sick. The Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast is brought to you in part by DID and their wide range of championship-winning chains. From the street to the track and everywhere in between, DID chains are designed to give you the optimal riding experience with great performance and increased chain life. Consistent to the core, pick up your box of reliability today. DID, what drives you?
We are proud to be partnered with Numira Technologies. Since 2001, Numira has led the charge in the ATV and side-by-side market, covering more applications than anyone else in the industry. Numira's advanced piston technology uses a NASA-exclusive aluminum alloy that helps to reduce expansion rates, that allows for tighter tolerances, and leads to higher overall engine performance for your machine. For more information about Numira's wide offerings of pistons, rings, gaskets, and industry-leading top-end repair kits, visit your local dealer or online at www.numira.com. Numira Technologies, pistons with an attitude. We are pleased to be partnered with Bronco ATV and UTV Components. Bronco has been an industry leader in replacement hard parts and accessories for all makes and models for over 15 years. With a catalog that includes a full line of electrical components, engine internals like rods and cylinders, all the way down to suspension parts and bearing kits. Bronco is your hard part source for whatever you need for whatever you ride. Available exclusively through distributors around the world. Visit your local dealer or online at broncoatv.com. Forworks Carbon's innovative lightweight products include top-notch seat covers, carbon fiber and plastic hoods, gas tank covers, exhaust shields, shock guards, and much more. Whether you have an ATV, UTV, or snowmobile, Forworks has the goodies that will improve your ride and make you salivate. We trust Forworks for increased function and a sexier look, and you should too. Forworks Carbon, always working hard to bring high quality and innovative parts to the market. Check them out today at fwcarbon.com.
What about your first racing memory?
Well, Man, I would have to say it was mudding. Like we started doing like these mud courses,
Okay.
and they were timed. So like, I don't know, my dad had some stock 400EX and I just had like a stock TRX 90 with some wheel spacers on it.
Mhm.
And we were at it was at Wittenberg, and they were having like a mud event, and then the motocross track was obviously there.
Okay.
And that's when I like told my dad, I'm like, hey, I want to try this. This looks cool, you know? And then he's probably kicking himself in the butt for doing it because, you know, 14, 15 years later, we were still racing motocross at the highest level, spending thousands of dollars a year, you know, doing it. But yeah, that's definitely my first memory. I weren't even racing yet, but we went and checked it out, you know, and that's where it all started. It kind of turned into a snowball effect, you know. And I wasn't always, you know, I kind of sucked at first, really. It took me a few years, and then all of a sudden, you know, I hit a maturity level, and man, it was like a light switch. I'm telling you, it just it flipped, and I could go fast, you know.
That's funny because I only ever remember you being fast, you know.
Yeah.
So tell me the story then, and it obviously wouldn't have been that early, but tell me the story on how you became Factory Sam, because it's truly like it's been forever. Maybe people don't know this because you'd still get referenced as Factory Sam, you know, here and there, but
sure.
the nickname was born in like 2006 or 2005 or something.
It came about in the heyday of Wisconsin ATV Motocross. I mean,
yeah.
I was kind of the kid around, you know, around there, and like you were just blowing up on the 450 at this point, pretty much, or maybe not, maybe the 300 still,
probably, yeah.
But you know, you were winning everything too, and I think Quad Olympics is where it really started, because I think you guys gave me 2 quads for the flat track and TT events because I didn't really have anything to race those on, you know.
Okay.
And you know, you gave me quads, and it kind of started. Your dad, I think, actually kind of started it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Factory Sam just shows up. He's got the bikes at the track, you know, and as a you know, young kid, I don't even know how old I was, 8, 9, 10 years old, you know, that's the coolest thing in the world. You show up and like, hey, you got these bikes just waiting for you. All I gotta do is just get on them and go. And you know, I mean, you guys did that, you know, and then I started going to the nationals, and I would have Factory Sam on like my back plate, and then you know, Rodney picked up on it after I started winning, and then you know, for a while there when I was winning a bunch at the nationals, dude, that name was around, man. Factory Sam, baby, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it started small at the, you know, a local race, and it's just cool to see how the nickname stuck, and it grew over the years into, you know, into that was my main nickname throughout my whole career. You know?
Oh, for sure awesome. It was. So the part that I want to touch on so people can envision this perfectly is that, so at Quad Olympics, which was a big deal at the time, but the class that this machine was for, it was like, I don't know if it was an automatic class, but it was like basically like a stock class. So what you were riding was like a stock Dinley, you know, right? That was the story.
One of them was brand new. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys took it off the showroom floor.
Dad did. I remember Dad doing that part. Yeah.
And then I used your pink one, which was your quad back in the day, and I raced that, and I smoked them kids. But that thing was rips. For a stalker, dude. That thing, it smoked all the other kids' quads. Dude. It was nuts.
Yeah.
But that's right. I forgot. The one quad was literally brand new. You took it off the showroom for me.
Well, that's why Dad said your factory, Factory Sam.
That's
right. So it's funny how it stuck forever.
Forever, man.
But it's funny to think where it started from and what it actually started from. It's awesome. So then the next thing I want to touch on is your first national experience. Like, do you remember your first national?
Absolutely. Well, the first one I went to watch at Loretta's.
Okay.
And
04?
Yeah. Was it with you?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was.
Because
we went and we watched it together because we were thinking about going to try a few.
Yep.
And and then the first one, I believe was the following year at Redbud, that I went to, and we ended up pitting with Sperlings.
Okay.
And I'm on a TRX 90. I think there was like 3 qualifiers or something ridiculous.
It was a big class back then.
Yeah. And of course I didn't qualify. And I just remember I was so upset and like, just like depressed, as a little kid, like, and I was fast at home, locally. And I came here and I got my butt kicked. And DJ, he was real tight with Dana Creech back in the day.
Yeah. Which pause for 1 second, which is one of the reasons why I was so jealous.
Yeah. Dana, he's a bad dude, man.
Hey, and the other thing I will say is when DJ was first on my show, the first time he came on, which was like spring of maybe 2020, Dana commented on it. It was like, hey, I remember that kid from back in the day. So anyways, go on.
But yeah, like I said, I was depressed, and DJ and Dwayne, his dad, had Dana come over, man. And I just remember like it completely turned my weekend from like the worst thing ever to like I didn't even care that I didn't make it. Like I met freaking Dana Creech from the Huevos movies, as a kid. Like I was like on cloud 9, like, oh my God, I just met Dana Creech. No way, So it it made it everything okay. And then my second experience was Loretta Lynn's later that year. And there was 4 qualifiers.
Okay.
And I did make it by the hair on my chinny chin. I made the last place in the last LCQ to get in. So, crazy, man, to think where you start and where you can end up, man, if you just keep going.
The part that's going to be hard for younger listeners is like everybody's so accessible now. Like you can hit them up on Facebook or you can hit them up on Instagram and like they'll see your comment. They'll probably comment back. Like that's not how it was like back in the day. Dana Creech like could have been Brett Favre basically.
Absolutely.
Like all we did is see him on the movies, right?
Exactly.
And we were playing Huevos like over and over and over again on repeat. So he was like a superhero. So to see him, to have that had to be the coolest experience. And then, to talk about how big those classes were. And that would have been 2005. So then in 2007, you're already a national champ. WPSA, you won the WPSA championship in 07 then, right?
Yep. So in 2006, we went to like 2 nationals again.
Okay.
And I ended up getting second in one of the 70 mod classes I did.
Okay.
And then, so we decided we're going to do a full season the following year. And we ran WPSA and like, wow. That series in itself, it's terrible that it went under because that was amazing, man. We were on ESPN2. We had the 4x4 stuff going on, man. Like Jack Link's title sponsor, beef jerky everywhere.
Right.
Like that was such a crazy year. All the factories, man. It just amazing. And I ended up winning the championship by only 1 point too. It came down to the last race. So
was it over Davey Nebraska?
Yeah. Yep. Davey Nebraska. And then the following year, he is actually the reason why we switched our bike up completely. Because I had a Cobra and it had all the long travel and it was heavy. And the following year, to defend my 70 mod championship, which I did, we made the complete opposite bike. Standard travel, standard everything, titanium axle. We made the lightest bike we could make. And I mean, the thing was a beast. Like we dominated.
It's funny. I had to drop that name because he sent us a message on the Digging Deep account like a few weeks ago. And instantly it took me right back to 07 and you guys battling it out.
For sure.
So
that was epic, man. And we were friends off the track. I remember riding bikes and hanging out with him out, after we raced each other. We were out kicking it in the dirt, so It's cool.
That's awesome. That's how it should be. So after that though, so that kind of kicked everything off. 2007, that WPSA title, which was a national title at the time, that was the premier title in North America at the time.
Yep.
And, or the premier series, I should say. And then after that, you went on this run that made you like the ATV motocross version of youth prodigy. Cause in 2008, like you just referenced, you defended that title by winning the AMA 70 mod national championship. 2009 was kind of a bridge year, you know, as you bumped up.
I moved up. Yeah.
Right. I was going to say you bumped up classes and didn't go to all the races, still grabbed your first 90 mod win ever at Loretta's though that year. That had to be pretty special because 90 mod, like, let me take people back to that era. So we're talking 09, but 90 mod was like premier class at the time. Like that was the premier youth class.
It was like almost like the 250 class today, or schoolboy junior, like the 300 class. That was, it makes me jealous when I see some of these kids riding, man, these days. Cause like, I was like, on a 300DX and a Z400, the mod bikes, the 90 and set, they're pretty much the same, but that next level is like, they're so spoiled, man.
but everybody ran them, right? Like that's what you did. You went from a 90 mod to a 300EX, and then later came the 400EX, but that was short lived. And then it was right to the big bikes, and so that's what made those classes so premiers, because like everybody had to race a 300EX or everybody had to race a 90 mod.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, man. Some of the stuff we did on those 300s, man.
I know.
Like they were such tanks, and we, hit everything that the pros were doing realistically, all the jumps and stuff. And I think that's just impressive in itself.
So I remember, and it was the exact same way for you, but I remember Jeffrey and I at one of the WPSAs in 2007, and our lap times were faster than the A class. And we were on 300EXs, and it was the same way for you. Like you could watch you ride that thing, and you were going that fast, and you're on a prehistoric duck-billed platypus looking 300EX.
Classic, man.
Right. So, do you remember that Loretta's win on the 90 mod?
Honestly, I didn't until you brought it up.
Okay,
no,
well that was your first 90 mod win. You only went to I think like 2 races that year, or 3 races or whatever it was, and you ended up winning Loretta's.
What happened is we were going to all the races with DJ Sperling actually, and like second round in, I think he crashed and broke both his arms. And so then our ride was kind of gone, and
he was going to be on the 300 that year, right?
Yeah, Yep. He was on the 300. Yep.
Shoot. Because I remember, because my dad built their engine that year, because, Jansen had a knack for the 300 stuff at that time.
For sure.
And you're exactly right. I remember DJ, like everybody slam dunk, DJ's going to win that championship. And then he got hurt. Yeah, you're exactly right.
And it was at Bill Balance.
Okay.
Or Balance MX.
Yeah, I wish we had that track back, man.
Yeah, that place was amazing. And then, I only did one more race, and that was Loretta's that year. So.
Okay. So then after that, though, you threw it into high gear, because 2010, 90 mod champ, 2011 super mini champ, 2012 schoolboy junior champ on the 300EX, like we were just talking about. And then you went to big bikes. So what a run that was. What stands out about that run of titles? Do you remember, like, do any specific battles come to mind? So 90 mod champ, 2010, super mini champ 2011, 300EX champ 2012. Like, who would you have been battling at that time?
Well, like the Mickelson, mainly Hayden. I always battled him, and then Brett Music. And the mod classes, man, we went at it for sure. We were probably the top 2 prospects, I would say, when I was winning, and then, Cam Koval too, man. We kind of had a little rivalry there for a little bit, and then we got a little bit older, and we squashed it and stuff. We're always cool, but when you're racing someone and you're going for a championship against them, sometimes the vibes get a little tense, and but I think those are some of the biggest names. I'm probably throwing shade at someone I'm forgetting.
No.
I'm not meaning to, but
Of course. So I did ask, I remember asking Brett, and I remembered it because he was racing you, but I remember like he had, and I'll forget now, but they were either like taking the top end off the 90 and, you know, like he was running the 90 in one class and then the, you know, 90 with a super mini like head on it in the other class. Right.
I do remember that.
That was racing.
Now that you bring that up. Yep. And they were literally switching like motors in between races.
Yes. We talked to him about it. And that's why I remembered, because obviously I was watching all your races at the time. And then I remember you racing, you were battling with Janusa on the super mini.
Yeah, there you go. There's another guy I was leaving out. Yeah, we went at it the year before I won the championship.
Okay.
It was about halfway through the year and we found a magical gearing, and then like I popped off a couple wins, but he had such a big lead on me already at that point. It was too late, and then I ended up winning the championship the following year.
Okay. Yeah. But I needed to ask you, and I didn't know like if any races stood out during that time or whatever, but those are some highly contested classes, some really big names. Like when you go back and look at it, like we were just mentioning, and like those are like the glory days, you know, before it gets too serious. It's just so much fun during like that period. And you were having so much success. How could it not be fun?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. When you're winning, everything's fun. Yeah.
Exactly. So then in 2013, you debuted on the 450 and you were just starting to go there. You ended up winning 16-24. You won the national championship in 16-24 right off the rip. But I was surprised. So I didn't remember this, but you only raced that one class that year. Why was that?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of a drama thing, honestly. This is kind of going to be cool to get out and off my chest a little bit, because it was like a big deal. I moved up. I had a 450 and I was practicing on it, you know, at the end of the 2012 race season. Mm-hmm. And Root River, they wanted me to race B class the following year. And I wasn't having it. And so we started racing like A classes and money races at locals and stuff.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like locked in, and honestly, nobody knows this, but it almost got me kicked off Root River for doing that, kind of forcing their hands. And that was kind of my punishment for doing what I did. I kind of got stuck in one class, you know, and that's all they would let me do. And, you know, because I wanted to move to A class right away, which I get it. Looking back now, I was a kid and I just wanted to go to the top. I wanted to be the best.
But that's where you belong, though.
Yeah, I get what they were trying to do, though. They want me to just get comfortable on the 450 and not have to, you know, push too much and risk getting injured or something stupid happening. But yeah, like it was kind of just you know, a learning year, I will call it. 2013. It was a development year.
Okay. So maybe that didn't end up being the worst thing for you, but I probably like knew some of this at the time, but like I totally forgot that you were only racing that one class when I went back and looked at it. So my next thing on my list here was to ask about Root River. I knew you were riding for Root River at that time. So tell me, like, what was it like to ride for Rich in that era there? Because I think that like you guys that were on that team, like you were the envy of so many other people in the pit. So tell me what that was like riding for Root River.
I mean, honestly, it was amazing. Like just some of the things we got to do and some of the things I experienced just being on that team. I probably never would have got to experience if it wasn't for Rich and being on that team. So like, I can't even explain to you how many cool things he did for us. Like just whether it was taking us to a super fancy restaurant or, you know, we always had brand new gear. He made sure we always had everything, you know, anyone ever needed. And, you know, the size of the team was insane. And ultimately, I think that's kind of what, you know, brought it to its end. I think he got a little too carried away, and we had such this big presence, you know, and it was amazing, you know, it was unbelievable. But I think it just kind of snowballed a little bit, and this is just my opinion, but it just kind of got so big. And I think he realized one day, he's like, I don't know if I want to spend this much money on racing,
Oh,
but
yeah. That makes
but
sense.
just the the overall, just some of the memories I'll take from Splendora and being down at D from Rage ATV, his facility down there, and just some of the stuff we got to do, to go into supercrosses and being in a luxury box, and it's amazing, really. He did so much for me and my career, man. I would have never made it past probably 2013 or 2012 if it wasn't for Root River and that whole team. So like, I haven't talked to them guys in a little bit, but I need to reach out to them again and maybe plan a visit over there. Me and my dad, we probably went 2 years ago and went and, just seen Rich and went out to dinner with them. But man,
Nice.
Life-changing experience getting on Root River, man, for the best, for sure. Just and kind of taught me how to grow up, man, because I traveled as a kid, as a 16-year-old kid, all over the place without my parents, without anyone watching me. And, for some people, they could have gotten a lot of trouble, and not to say that I didn't get in any trouble, but I think looking back, I did pretty good for being on my own, and it's all on me to ride and train and work hard. And I think it paid off.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, of course it did. And I don't think, thinking back on it and looking back on it, like, you were so successful. You're also like a great kid. So I feel like, you were as deserving as anybody for that opportunity. So 2013, you were kind of quote unquote being punished. You couldn't race the A class. You wanted to. 2014, you made it count. You won both titles, the 450A and the Open A, and both of those classes were stacked that year. So listen to some of these names: Dylan Tremelin, Parker Wewerka, Duck Lloyd, Vital Casanavi, Wes Lewis, Nick Janusa, Nico Kavi. Those are just some of the names. There were more, but these are the most notable names. Those classes were stacked, and you ended up getting both titles. That had to feel pretty good after not racing or not being allowed to race the A class the year before.
Oh, for sure. Looking back, that's like really like the last season in my racing career where everything was kind of like a story tale, like a story tale ending. I win 2 A class championships with, like you said, such a stacked field. And like, that's probably, honestly, I'm going to say that's probably my favorite year of racing in history, I would say.
Okay.
I had some great Pro-Am memories, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit, but man, that year I also got what amateur rider of the year, or I got some sort of award at the banquet.
That would be what it was. Yeah.
Yep. It's hanging up in my living room. So
Okay.
I mean, like, really, that was just like I said, like a fairy tale year, man. It doesn't get better than that.
That's amazing. And the other thing, so I remember, like, obviously, like, when riders are coming up, and obviously I was watching you, all of these years, as a buddy of yours or whatever, but you're always kind of like wondering where somebody's going to stack up. So like, obviously, like, we were already, I think everybody was probably wondering like how you're going to do in Pro-Am and stuff. So we'll get to that. Like you said, the other thing that was such a strength of yours over the years is, like, I always felt like how mentally strong you were. Like, you were just always so confident. And I would assume, like, when you're winning as much as you are, and you're winning, against these great riders and winning titles, youth rider of the year, amateur rider of the year, all these things, like, that's only adding to that confidence. Like, in my mind, like, no doubt in my mind, you were going to be successful. Like, that's just at least how it felt at the time.
For sure. Like, I definitely consider myself a mentally strong person, but like, yeah, man, that it's tough, dude. It gets tough especially when you have like a bad race or even just a bad day in practice, and you can really start to doubt yourself so quick and easy, and like, you kind of just got to get good at like just shaking things off, and just bouncing back and waking up every day, just ready to be your best,
Yeah, for sure. So then 2015, so now you had ascended, to to all the way to the top, basically to Pro Sport and Pro Am. You ended up finishing second in Pro Sport to Cam Koval. You talked about, having a little rivalry with him over the years, and then fourth in Pro Am behind Janusa, Koval, and Kavi. So those classes were so fast that season, and this was now your first foray basically in Pro Am. So you did really well actually right off the rip. But
yeah, I actually missed. I missed while at Muddy Creek that year. I crashed really bad. Yep.
Yeah.
And then I missed a round as well. So I mean, I think I could have probably got third that year. I think I was the third best guy because Janusa and was it Koval?
Cam got second. Yep.
Yep. I mean, those guys are ripping that year. So like, I think I should have been third, but it's racing, things happen and sometimes you hit the ground and you gotta miss a round or two.
Oh yeah, man. Like you were fast that year right away. I remember distinctly. Because I would have been in those classes at that time, or I would have been in Pro Am, I should say, not Pro Sport. But I remember so distinctly because I was in like third or something at the time, and you flipping at Muddy Creek and how nasty that was at the time. Like that was I
ended up getting stage 1 internal bleeding. I was peeing blood for like a week and a half, and chunks of my kidney or liver or something. It was disgusting.
Oh my gosh. Well, you rebounded though. Like you ended up obviously having a good year. Like look at how well you ended up doing, even though despite all that hardship after that.
Absolutely. And one race I'd like to comment from that year is Echikani, the first round. Okay. Only time I've ever raced that track. And it was actually a monsoon, and Pro-Am was the only...
one moto format. Yeah.
Yep. And I was first and second with my teammate, and we were coming into the corner and he was on the inside, and all of a sudden he blows to the outside at the last second, and I end up stalling my bike. And whatever, stuff happens. Yep. But I came from dead last to, I think, P5 almost into P4. And I was turning faster lap times, I think, but it was like 2 seconds than anyone else on the track.
Oh my gosh.
So for like my first Pro-Am race, that was incredible. I remember coming off the track and like I had a group of people, like they surrounded me because they were so pumped on like how I came back. That's probably one of my big favorites for races too. Like that one stands out to me definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that day like it was yesterday. I think I made it into the second corner and I had a coil wire break. So and when me, like when I see mud, I'm like, this is my chance right here,
Absolutely.
But it didn't go down that way. So the other race that stands out to me that year, and I think you got second overall maybe that day, was Pro-Am at Redbud. And there was a 3-way battle at the end between you, Pablo Vera, and myself.
Yeah. There was like a bad accident on the track or something.
Yeah. Sepsi,
for like half the race. Mm-hmm. And like I was leading and I was like losing a bunch of time to Pablo, and I'm like, what is going on?
He was jumping. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause that, that's not like a normal, I mean, no respect or disrespect to Pablo, but that wasn't like a normal thing, the whole year he wasn't like catching me through motos and passing me, and he did too, like, which he was jumping on a flag. And I don't even think he ended up getting penalized for it.
No,
but
he didn't. He did.
Yeah. But things happen, but that was a crazy race, man. There was a couple, I can remember a few races from Redbud, dude. Redbud, I think, just always brings good racing, dude.
I think it does too. I think it's a favorite of so many of ours as well. But I just remember being like first of all, I remember thinking, and again, like no disrespect, but like you said, it was not the norm for Pablo Bear to be up there. So I remember like looking at you after the race, like
what happened?
How did we let that happen? You know, like, and I remember being just on top of each other, like all in the air at the checkered. And I don't remember that many great races for me that year. Like I remember being on the podium a few times, but for whatever reason, that one stands out to me. And then the other thing I feel like that stood out to me, and it was a strength throughout your entire career, but you were so damn good over the years at starts. You were such a great starter. And what stands out to me is it's so hard to beat a guy that always starts out front. And that was a strength of yours for forever.
Oh, for sure. Like I mean, pretty much as far as I can remember me racing seriously, like I'm good at starts. Mm-hmm. And, I'm upset that I only pulled 2 Pro Class starts, man. I think I needed to get a couple more, and I think it would have helped me maybe progress a little faster. And because when you start up there, man, with them top guys, that is the best learning experience you can get. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, battling with like a Joel or a Chad or a Thomas Brown or a Rastrelli. That's the fastest way to learn, in my opinion, is just getting up there and just pushing yourself to maybe go a little bit outside your comfort zone,
Yeah, absolutely. There's no substitution for seeing that speed in a race scenario. Definitely. So as your amateur career comes to an end and we turn the page to your pro career, let's toss it to a break. We'll hear from our sponsors and we'll come back with Sam Rowe on the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. As the #1 podcast in ATV racing, it's only right that we partner with the industry leaders in suspension tuning. Insert Impact Solutions. Impact Solutions is a full-service ATV and side-by-side suspension center specializing in the revalving and service of your motocross and off-road suspension. With over 25 years of elite-level knowledge, experience, and testing with riders of all ages and ability levels, Casey Greek, Jay Goebel, and the Impact crew strive to exceed the client's expectations for service and setup. Impact Solutions is the official Elka Suspension Service Center of the United States, offering unmatched product knowledge and experience. Whether you're in need of service, parts, warranty, sales, or technical support, Impact Solutions has you covered. Head over to impactsolutionsatv.com or give them a call today.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
The following message is brought to you by Manscaped.com. The Manscaped engineering team has outdone themselves this time, creating the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, now available for purchase in the US and Canada. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, an official sponsor of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast, with this exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. I'm one of the first people to try the new 4.0 and I am blown away. This thing is next level. What sets this trimmer apart from all the rest? The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. It features a new multi-functioning on-off switch with travel lock for those of us who like to travel. And my favorite, the new trimmer allows you to customize your trim with 4 different guard lengths, an upgrade from its predecessor that only featured 2. If you're listening, you know that good tools are a must, so wait no more to get the best tools for the job. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DiggingDeep20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com by using code DiggingDeep20.
Hey everyone, this is Larry Mills, president of DP Brakes North America and proud partner of the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. We at DP Brakes are a longtime supporter of ATV racing and the world leader in sintered brake technology, dominating the ATV world for decades by supporting the best four-wheeled racers on the planet. This year's lineup includes Jeff Rastrelli, Mark Baldwin and Baldwin Motorsports, Ford Brothers Racing, Nick Janusa, and many more, including Mr. Digging Deep himself, Cody Jansen. Plus all the top 17 GNCC pros such as 7-time champion Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Cole Richardson, Jared McClure, Adam McGill, and previous champion Chris Borich. These top riders continue to appreciate the high performance and impressive durability that their DP brakes have to offer, products that ultimately help place them on top of the podium week after week. DP brakes are available through www.dp-brakes.com or you can purchase them through your local Parts Unlimited stocking dealer, or you can even message us, myself, Larry Mills, or DP Brakes on Instagram or Facebook. And if you have any questions about product or sponsorship support, please ask us. We are waiting for you. Join the best ATV riders in the world equipped with DP Brakes, and have a great year, everyone.
Nearing 2 decades into the brand's existence, Factory 43 is back and better than ever, continuing to make major waves in the ATV world. For the 3rd consecutive season, Factory 43 is the official aluminum parts choice of the Phoenix Racing ATV team, providing their state-of-the-art Evo Nerf bars, MX-style front bumpers, and grab bars for 2-time champ Joel Hetrick. If you're in the market to upgrade your Nerf bars, bumpers, or grab bars, head over to factory43atv.com to see their full line of industry-leading products available for all makes and models. Head over to factory43atv.com today.
Success in the ATV MX world is similar to what creates financial success as well. The right people, the right advice, and more importantly, hard work and the benefit of an ongoing relationship as situations change and adversity is experienced. Do you have the right financial advisor to help you reach your goals? Haymauer Financial Group can create a personalized, goal-based plan to help your family prepare for whatever life brings. Call me, Scott Haymauer, at Haymauer Financial Group, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, at 920-338-8150. That's 920-338-8150. Offices located in beautiful De Pere, Wisconsin, with registrations and clients nationwide.
So you grabbed a few wins in Pro-Am. Those are your first ever that season as well. Still riding for Root River at that time. What do you remember about that season? Because, I mean, there's something magical about going pro and then getting those wins in Pro-Am, obviously. I think when you go to the Pro Class, Pro-Am all of a sudden feels a lot easier. But was that like a dream come true to finally make it to the Pro Class? Like, is that how it felt for you?
Absolutely. Like, we talked about, when we were younger, that's all we wanted to do. And it was like, we said it back then as like, yeah, okay, that's my dream, it's, probably never going to happen. And, I made it happen. So that, amazing feeling, and kind of just like you just feel like you did the right thing because you actually, all the hard work and time and effort and I made it, and not everyone can say that they, got to go pro. And that's something I think, and back to Root River, man, without them, it's something, I'll cherish for the rest of my life, the memories and the experiences brought on by racing just in general. Can't beat it.
Exactly. So tell me about, like what it's like to line up with guys that you've always kind of looked up to, because that's something that, like you said, not that many people get to experience realistically. So you've been watching, like some of those guys were, in the Pro Class when you were on a 70, like Chad Wienen, or Thomas Brown, like dudes that have been around for forever. Now you're lining up, next to them. Explain to people what that's like.
It's a crazy feeling. You almost look down the first couple races, you like look down the starting line and like who you're with. And it's like, man, how am I going to even compete with these guys, dude? These guys are legends, like you said, right. Like half of the class when I went pro, half of them guys I looked up to my whole life. And now here I am on the line with them. I mean, it's just a surreal feeling and also a feeling of like just accomplishment and just, proudness, just to make it to that point, even like you said, not everyone makes it there. And it's just really validating. And I'm just glad I got to experience that, especially like, race against Joel, Chad, Thomas, some of those guys, even, Jeffrey and Joel, like they were a little younger, but they were kind of the generation above me,
Yeah.
So even as kids, like I looked up to them as a kid, even,
Exactly.
So, yep. I think it took, about half the season for me not to kind of almost, I would say, be starstruck on the line, where you're just like looking around like, wow, this is amazing, and you got to get some time and races and battling under your belt. And it kind of, it starts to feel normal after a little while, but definitely in the beginning, it's like, it's amazement, you know.
And just to see those, the blue 38s on your quad, like blue,
Oh
like
yeah.
like the blue number plates themselves, like you grow up your whole life like, oh man, blue number plate, like at least that's how it was for me.
For sure. Oh, for sure.
So when you see those blue 38s on the quad for the first time, like that,
they just look better, man. They just look better.
Exactly. It's funny.
Well, the only thing that looks better than blue is red, because you need the points leader. But
right.
But yeah,
it's funny how that works. And then, like I said, I feel like that Pro-Am gets a whole lot easier when you're like, well, geez, like I don't have all these legends that I got to race against. Like now I just got to race these guys. Like Pro-Am definitely gets easier after you're exposed to the pro class. I'll put it that way.
Oh, 110%. Like I remember, when I first went to Pro-Am, it was kind of almost that feeling where like you're overwhelmed and
for sure.
Like, wow, these guys are fast. And then like you get thrown to the wolves in the pro class.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what helped me, which I'm disappointed I never won a Pro-Am championship, but I won a bunch of races and I just never could put together a full season. It seemed like, and that was probably my biggest like upset of my career, I would say, is not getting that Pro-Am championship.
Mm-hmm.
But like it just like makes your whole mindset different after you like race in the pro class with them guys.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the line like, like not to discredit anyone, but that's how I would have to put myself in that mental position. Like, who are these guys? Like, let's go. They ain't got nothing on me. That's, if you want to be the best, you almost have to think like that. Sometimes you have to be cutthroat, almost in a way.
Yeah. And I don't know how it is for other people, but like when I moved up to Pro-Am for the first time, or even at the beginning stages of running Pro-Am, like that was the lights class to me. Like I remember
100%.
Yeah. I remember
that's a great comparison.
I remember growing up and think like the Pro-Am guys that I looked up to were like, they were like pros, like they were the same as pros to me.
Yeah.
So like, that's definitely how it feels when you first get into Pro-Am, and Pro-Am for forever. Like you said, you won a bunch of races. You didn't end up ever winning a title. So it shows you how gnarly Pro-Am is, but at the same time, it changes your perspective on,
for sure,
on Pro-Am after you're racing the pro class.
For sure. It just, just them guys in pro class, the top 5-6 guys especially they're so fast and they're just kind of on a different level, and once you kind of experience that, the Pro-Am is definitely still stacked, but it's not nearly as intimidating, as the best in the world.
Yeah.
Basically, so
exactly. And the cool thing from watching like you ascend, because I saw all of it, obviously I saw, you from when you were using wooden blocks to all the way to making it to the pro class. And the cool thing is, so how many great talented riders, and you were around long enough to obviously know what I'm talking about, that were, prodigies as youth riders or great amateurs or whatever, and never actually make it, never stick it out long enough for whatever reason to make it to the pro class. And for you to have done it that whole way, and then to stick it out long enough to get to the pro class and, put yourself, rightfully, you earned the right to be alongside those the best in the world riders. You were one of them. Like, I feel like that's cool, because that doesn't always happen. Sometimes the light burns too bright to the point where people just get out of it because they're sick of it or whatever. And for you to finally get there, that was awesome.
And towards the end, I think, there was probably a little bit of that going on where I was just maybe a little cooked on it. I did it, seriously for, 10, 12 years straight. And, and like now I would tell myself back then, like, you're an idiot, you're crazy. Like, I wish I could go back right now, but
of course,
but at the time it's different when you have no break really, and it's constantly, the season ends. Okay, we got to tear bikes down and we got to send everything off to get redone. And how are we going to pay for this? And are we going to be able to get our parts in time for the next season? We got to build the bikes and it's just, there's so much that goes into racing nationals at a top level. If you're not dedicated, you're probably not going to do the best. You really have to commit and put all of yourself into it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, I said it in the last episode, said it to Alan that it's 365, like it's 24/7, 365. Cause that's what the top guys are doing. And it's such a commitment. You get so laser focused on it though. Like you're in this little world where that's the only thing that matters, right? Like you don't lose sight of it. And
there's other things to life,
mm-hmm.
There is. And it took me a little bit after I stopped to learn that there's more to life than just racing ATV motocross,
mm-hmm. The one thing I will say though, and I say this to so many people, is the stuff you learn, not only is it, priceless memories and opportunities and all the stuff that you already touched on, but the stuff you learn, the work ethic, the dedication, the, putting your mind to something. I've said it a million times on these things.
Absolutely.
But stuff you learn from the sport, you'll take for forever,
You'll take it throughout your life, and basically this sport helped, I would say, lay the foundation of
mm-hmm.
who I am today. And my, like you said, the work ethic and just, you need to get something done and you need to get it done. You just get it done. Like, I mean, there's no other way to put it. I agree with you. Like this sport just, it sets you up for so much other things in life.
Well, and it's part of your identity, like even 20 years from now, you're still going to think of yourself as I was a pro ATV racer. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, and I'm still going to be screaming at, the TV, watching Supercross or
right.
The boys and quads, hopefully we still kicking,
Yeah.
I'll be screaming at the TV like, come on, what are you doing? But you can't take the racing out of me, man. I even still this day, man, I get so pumped up for Supercross and even like the quads, I'm watching the live timing, like cheering for my buddies and stuff. Like I'm diehard, man. The racing, especially moto, man, anything moto is it's just my passion. There's no better sport on earth, dude.
Yeah, you and I are cut from the same cloth. So that was 2016. That was your first year as a pro. So 2017 was the Vossman year. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
So how did that come about? How did you go from out being Root River for forever to now riding for basically what was a new team?
Well, Vossman wanted to put together a team, and me and Tommy, we grew really close, and they wanted a pro rider, and I was right there, and Rich was still heavily involved in my program while I rode for them, but so it was like a Vossman Root River kind of combo, but
gotcha.
It was super cool, and that was only like kind of a 1-year deal. And, Tommy had some health issues he had to get figured out. And Johanna had to go off to college and, she was starting her life. And, but that year was amazing, man. They did everything, to the fullest, and, they didn't cut corners, and we always looked super good. And, we worked hard too that year. And, definitely a great year that I'll never forget, that I feel like our bikes and setup was one of the best looking in the paddock that year. So
you guys had a dial. Yeah, you guys had a dial. You finished top 10 in points that year too in the pro class, which was obviously, like always, I feel like that's a standard thing to, tell a person, hey, that's a good year. So, you don't just go through the motions and get top 10 in the pro class, I guess is what I'm getting at in points. But what stands out to me about that year is you won 3 in a row in Pro-Am.
And I was actually leading the 4th, and I broke my radiator cap or something at Loretta's, and I blew my bike up while I was leading. So it could have potentially been 4 in a row.
Oh boy. Yeah, that stinks. Yeah. Millville, Unadilla, and Redbud, you won those. And that's what stands out to me. I didn't remember the other part. But that has to be like, as far as a stretch goes, I know it's not one individual race, but that has to be like one of the biggest highlight periods of your racing career, I would think.
Absolutely. And it was kind of funny because it started at Walnut with the pink breast cancer graphics. And it started as a joke, and the bike was kind of nicknamed the Pink Panther. And we just kind of left the pink graphics on and let it ride, dude. And I just kept winning. So we left the pink graphics on and they weren't coming off. And ultimately I let down the Pink Panther the last round of the year. But man, like you said, that was a hell of a run, man. Amazing. Definitely. That's another point in my career too, where I would, like you said, that's one of my top tier highlights, I would say.
Yeah, man, you killed it. And then the other thing that year, so that was your first ever pro hole shot came that year at Muddy Creek, I believe. Would that be right?
Yeah. And then I made it about half a lap and pulled the parachute.
So that has to be the coolest feeling though,
absolutely, man.
There's nothing like, when you're out there in clean air and you hear and see, it's like you're in a quiet little bubble,
Yeah. The first time, like I said, I pulled the parachute, I freaked out and kind of panicked, and I was over jumping jumps and just a mess. Okay. But like you said, I mean, dude, there's no other feeling than you're leading the best in the world. And it's crazy. And then the following year when I got my second one, I was a little more poised, and I was battling, and I think I was still in third, and my motor blew up on me. So that could have been potentially my career best, maybe, who knows, but
career day for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know what that feels like to do it in the pro class, but I know that feeling of getting hole shots is a great one. So I had to touch on that at least, because that has to be the coolest feeling to do it in the pro class, especially after, being such a good starter. You were always a good starter. Like I would have bet you were going to pull hole shots, no problem.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm upset I didn't pull more, to be honest, because like in Pro-Am, even I pulled a ton of starts, and
yeah.
Man, Joel Hetrick, that HK, the hole shot king, dude, he's tough to beat on them starts. I would tell you.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, you got that out of the way there in 2017, and then roll over in 2018. And if I remember correctly, 2018, you put together your own program, right?
Yeah. Yep. Correct. Honestly, that was another year. I thought our bike, I thought my bike looked it's almost a little bit like Jeffrey's bike.
Yeah.
This year, just kind of white,
black and white.
Yeah, yep. And it's just something to me about that. It's clean, and that was a great year, man. That was our beginning of my relationship with Johnny Hale.
Yep.
And we had some struggles, and ultimately we didn't finish where we wanted in the championship, but even compared to 2019, 2018, I feel like I was the fastest I ever was in my career.
Okay.
I think I just struggled overall in 2019. Just with everything. Like I kind of said, maybe getting a little burnt out, and just when your mental gets down too, like we commented on me being mentally strong. I think I struggled a lot that year, 2019, mentally.
Okay.
But yeah, 2018, man, I wish we could have kept the bike together a few more races, because I think I could have did really good that year overall in the championship.
Yeah, like you said, I think that was your peak speed that year. If you look at the box score, like it might not show it, but
sure.
you pulled off a top 5 at Sunset Ridge, and I remember that like it was yesterday, because obviously
it was like 105 degrees that day too. It was insanely hot. I remember coming off the track and like dying, literally. Like I feel like I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Just like collapsing on the floor of my trailer and having the AC blow on me.
Right. Yeah. And the reason why it stands out to me though is, top 5 in the pro class is gnarly, like
for sure.
And I remember Hammy. I remember Tyler Hamrick getting a top 5 in the pro class and being like I still, like to this day too, remember it like I don't know, like I feel like I think of it almost as a podium, like when one of us gets a top 5, like when you pull up a top 5, that's crazy. So that had to be another highlight for you, like especially to do it at Sunset, to do it at Walnut right down the road.
For sure.
That had to be cool.
Yeah, just that whole really that whole weekend was a great weekend. I had some friends from up home come down too, and and Saturday came and I got a fifth, and I ain't gonna lie, we celebrated a little bit. We had a little party going underneath the row tent and playing some giant Jenga, and we kind of let it loose a little bit. And and you gotta take when you get a win like that, you gotta celebrate it and really cherish it, because if I remember correctly, I don't think I got another one of those in my career. So that's something to hang your hat on at the end of the day, man.
Yeah. You know what? Like, no matter what it is, if it's having a cookie or whatever it is, like I wish that's one thing I wish I could go back and do more, is like celebrate the wins, or successes just a touch more, because not only do they, it makes you appreciate them more, but it's also like a little bit of an incentive. Like, hey, like if I win, I get this,
Absolutely. That's one thing. Even like in my younger days, when I was growing up at the Nationals, I was so dominant. I wish I would have kind of lived in the moment a little more and really soaked that up a little more than I did, because, not every person goes on a run and wins multiple national championships as a kid. And, that's I think, looking back, I'm just super proud of that. And I think that's a super big accomplishment.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're so dominant, and I touch on this all the time, but when you're expected to win, like that robs you of that great feeling. So even if you're expected to win, like you've accomplished the goal, like treat yourself a little bit, do something
Absolutely.
to make it special, instead of, you were expected to win. Like that was the goal. So you didn't even spike your heart rate by winning. Like you don't get that natural high from winning. It's just like, no, like this is what was expected. And we were going to be devastated if we didn't win. So do something like I said, I wish I could go back in time and just make it a little bit more special. So
just cherish them good moments, man.
Yeah.
And that's to these new kids now coming up, and the people still doing it, man. Yeah. That's as a person that stepped away from it for now, like 3 years, cherish the little wins, man. Really savor them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to touch on it, so that maybe people can, learn from, I don't want to call it a mistake, but the stuff that we wish we could go back and change,
Yeah, for sure.
So did that give you a new appreciation for, how difficult it is to kind of have your own program? Because you were on, these great teams in the years previous for basically, for the better part of your, national career. You're on, Root River, and then you go on to be, the Vossman thing. So did that give you a new appreciation for how difficult it is to do it, on your own?
For sure. It's, it was definitely a lot more work than, we initially anticipated. Mm-hmm. And, just with having to do everything yourself, like, you need all these extra parts and little pieces and bushings and bearings and all this stuff in the camper, and you got to have it. And I mean, you got to go through and order every single thing. And my dad was pretty good at that. Like he, used to joke with him back in the day. He kind of had like a Honda shop in our garage. Yeah. And, which we've cleaned a lot of that stuff out now. There's still stuff in the graveyard out there, but I mean, just like in this, like I'll bring up Jeffrey, what he's doing right now, and he's even got like kind of a store thing going on too in his program. Yep. Like it just at the same time, like it's stressful and you take a lot on yourself, but I think it's on you and it's your program, and I think you are a little more driven to do good. And maybe if you don't feel like working out that day, like it's a little extra pressure, like I gotta work out, I gotta do this, so I honestly liked it a lot. And mm-hmm. that year 2018 was kind of like a dream. I've always wanted to do what I did that year. Like I had my own rig, I got a dog, and I had a girlfriend, and like I got to, I went around the country with my setup, my own stuff. And like that was really, I would say 2018, that was like my most favorite year of mm-hmm. racing.
To do it your way.
I enjoyed it. Yeah. Like everything was on, me and my dad. It was our decision, what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it. And I think that really just kind of made it more enjoyable, you know.
Yeah.
And I still had a lot of help from Rich Gillette and other people, you know, that have been a long time pillars in my you know, my career. And but I had like a little more freedom, you know, and just obviously all to say and what I wanted with the bike and how I wanted it done. And I think 2018, I think that was my favorite year, just overall, you know, riding, traveling, just the amount of fun I had, just the experience. I think 2018, that's my peak year, man.
Yeah, to do it your way. There's just nothing like that ownership, you know, that you get from doing it and kind of doing it on your, you know, doing it, like I said, doing it your way, doing it the way you want to do it, making the decisions, taking ownership of all that stuff. Like that's just invigorating.
And even when
feeling.
it goes bad, you know, it's on you, but like,
yeah,
it's not like when you, like I rode for Rue River and say the bike breaks or grenades. And I'm like looking at the team, you know, like, come on. And, you know, when it happens to it, like, hey, listen, man, it's on me, you know, like there's no one to blame but yourself. And I think it's just kind of, it's kind of humbling in a way too, you know, like I had all that, like you said, I had all that support and everything over the years. And it really just kind of made me want to work for it a little bit harder and just be the best I could be.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It makes total sense to me. So 2019, you finished your career back in the top 10 in points. And that was the year you rode for JH. And I believe you were kind of like the first rider to have that ride with Johnny, I think, if I remember correctly, weren't you? And
well, it started with Silas Lehman's kind of a couple years. And then it was Kazmarek, Zach Kazmarek.
Yep.
And so I was the third person to get that opportunity.
Zach was before you. Okay. So I thought I was thinking Zach was after you, but either way, now that you say that, you're exactly right. So I remember Zach was really good at times on that bike. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, like Sam could kill it, you know? And yeah, so I remember just thinking that was a great opportunity for you. And now, I mean, we've seen Johnny have, you know, riders on his bike, you know, all the years since then.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really wish I almost could have did it one more year with those guys, man. Johnny and Tiffany, they're great people. And I just think maybe sometimes, you know, he wanted to do something with the bike and the shocks, and, you know, I was trying to do something different. And I think, you know, myself included, I think I take most of the blame for this. I wish I would have, you know, maybe listened a little more to Johnny and been willing to try some of the things. Cause I was kind of like with the single rate rear shock and just certain things. I should have just maybe listened a little more to Johnny. You know, he's been around forever. And, you know, I wish I could add another year with them guys, man. They let me come down to, you know, stay at their house and stay with them and be around the shop. And, you know, I even helped Johnny out a little bit here and there. And, you know, it was just, it was cool to be on that team. And, you know, it's good to see Wesley too this last year. It sucks with his injury, but dude, he was ripping, man. Impressive some rounds, his speed and holding it down for the Honda still, like, you know, like crazy. But yeah, man, and it was a great year, you know, to end on, I think, though at the same time, you know, I say I want another year, but like you look what happened in 2020 with COVID and everything. I truly couldn't have picked a better time, I think, to leave the sport, because I would have been, you know, stuck down in Florida, you know, not making any money, because that was when, you know, everyone's freaking out about COVID, you know, so it's like, oh my God, are we gonna die? But no, you know, just how it affected the world since then. I think I picked the right time to at least leave the pro class, you know, but that level.
But you stepped away basically because you were ready at that time, right? Like you were burned out at that time.
Yeah, it was a combination between me just growing up and realizing, hey, like I need to, you know, start making some money and get a job and kind of get a real life going, and being burned out I think it was a combination of both. And my dad was, I know he was ready for the past couple of years to quit.
Yeah.
So like, it was just time, like it was just everything kind of aligned, and I was ready to leave. But like I mentioned a little bit earlier, it was still really tough to just kind of walk away like that. And, I had to deal with it, and didn't always deal with it, I would say, the best ways, and maybe still don't sometimes. But, I'm just happy to kind of be on this podcast here, and just kind of like the trip down to Florida and seeing Jeffrey, and I'm going to Daytona, baby, and I'm going to try and make some rounds this year. So we're coming back, and I'm ready to be back involved in the sport again, even if it's in, a different light than it used to be.
Insurance. It's not something everyone likes to talk about, but let's face it, if you race motocross, it's something you should have. Integrated Financial Concepts is an independent financial service and insurance firm who offers moto-friendly insurance and helps out riders like Nick Janusa, Jeffrey Rastrelli, and Joel Hetrick gain confidence on the track. With their unique Safe to Race and Safe to Ride programs, if you qualify, they have the ability to offer life insurance with living benefits to those who ride. With these living benefits, you may have the ability to access a portion of your life insurance policy while you're still living, for things like cancer, heart attack, stroke, or chronic illness. They can also help with many other things, such as home, auto, motorhome, and trailer insurance, as well as college planning, special needs planning, payroll processing, as well as group health benefits for your business. So whether something happens on or off the track, Integrated Financial Concepts has you covered. With their complimentary one-on-one appointments, what are you waiting for? Reach out to Mike Daniele at DANIELE_Michael at NLGroupMail.com today and see how Integrated Financial Concepts can help you. Living benefit riders are supplemental benefits that can be added to a life insurance policy and are not suitable unless you have the need for life insurance. Riders are optional and may require additional premium and may not be available in all states or on all products. This is not a solicitation for any specific insurance policy.
Just like the sport of ATV motocross as a whole, our Digging Deep community is brought together by the love for racing that we all share. Our sport is compiled of many great people, and leading that charge is the Launderville family at Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply. This racing-owned family business is a steel and concrete supplier serving the entire United States. Launderville Steel is a full-service steel supplier of new and surplus steel, aluminum, and stainless steel products, headlined by their 4130 chromoly tubing and plate used in the building of chassis for ATVs and UTVs, off-road truck racing, late model dirt and pro tractor pulling series, drag racing, and more. Launderville Steel loves their racing just as much as we do, but don't forget about their concrete division as well. With over 25 years of experience, the Concrete Division can supply everything you need to complete your next business or personal project. Their central Midwest location enables LSE to easily serve customers across the United States. For a quote, additional info, answers to more of your questions, or to talk a little racing, head over to laundervillesteel.com or give them a call today. We are proud to be partnered with yet another racer-owned company. Thank you, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply. Here at Digging Deep, we have an obvious passion for ATVs and pridefully enjoy sharing the sport's history. Since 2019, when the podcast was born, we've been working to partner with individuals who share our passion, but one man and his vision had been missing from our partnership group. Until now. When it comes to the sport's history, the hallowed grounds of Binky's Forever ATC Museum has it all. Binky Tapscott's mind-blowing collection of 3- and 4-wheelers has preserved history by spanning all makes and models, from Honda 3-wheelers in chronological order to unique builds that shaped ATV racing as we know it, like Doug Gust's iconic DRZ-powered hybrid thumper and everything in between. There's no denying Binky's passion, a passion that we certainly relate to here at Digging Deep. Binky's goal is to share his amazing collection with fellow enthusiasts by making his prized possessions accessible to the public via scheduled visits. Follow Forever ATC Museum on Facebook and watch foreveratc.com for further updates on possibly getting a chance to see Binky's Forever ATC Museum for yourself. We are proud to welcome Binky's Forever ATC Museum to the Digging Deep family. Evans Waterless Power Sports Coolant. The best power sports coolant on the market, Evans prevents overheating and boilover, so you need not worry about harming your engine or suffering a premature end to your ride, no matter what the conditions. Designed for use in ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, and other power sports equipment, when conditions are at their worst, Evans is at its best. Upgrade to Evans now to avoid overheating and boilover next time you hit the track or trail. Use discount code DIGGINGDEEP20 at checkout to save at evanscoolant.com. Thanks for listening, and remember to support our partners. Now back to the show. so that was never something I knew, I didn't know like how you handled it. Like some people are just burned out and they're able to just like close that book or, shut down that chapter, close that door and not have it bother them. And I always wondered for you because like, I wondered like, even you'd still like post, racing pictures and whatever. And, I didn't know how hard it was. I didn't even know if you missed it, but
yeah, I mean, and I'm not one to, I don't talk about stuff like that. Like even with like my family or nothing, I just kind of was deal with it my own way. And, it is what it is. And like I said, I would say I'm in a much better place, now 3 years later, but the first year, man, was tough. And I even went to Walnut and Redbud and, I practiced and, rode a little bit, but it was just tough even being there that early after I quit and not being in the pro class, but no, I'm, like I said, I'm pumped now to be kind of back a little bit, even as small as it might be with going and helping Jeffrey for 2 weeks, get ready for this upcoming season. I'm glad I did it, and it was only supposed to be a week trip. And I was like, I'll stay for another week, but yeah, dude, it's just, it was just time, man. People grow up and you get older and life goes on,
you were still so young. You still are so young, but you were still so young. But when you think about all the years and you go through all the years, like it doesn't like, it didn't feel like it at the time, but when you break it down and like literally look how many years you guys went to the races, did all these things, like it felt like forever.
It was a long time.
Such a grind. It's such a grind,
and like you never get a break either. That's the biggest thing. Like you don't ever get a month or two just to even relax. Cause like we're trying to go here and ride or go there and we're trying to do this and we got to stay on the bike as long as we can before winter comes. And then when winter comes, we're driving to Texas or Florida to, on Christmas vacation to get some riding in, it's it's a grind, man. And, I'm excited to just kind of enjoy the sport now and just kind of be a little cheerleader almost, for my boys in the pro class. And, I got friends still in the amateur ranks and I would like to, I'd like to show up and race a round or two, maybe this year, or at least practice, and me and Jeffrey have talked about it. We've thrown around the idea of maybe riding the practice bike maybe one day in 25 plus or something.
Yeah.
He wants me to come back to Pro-Am or something. And I'm like, dude, you crazy, man. But I think 25 plus would be fun. I would do a little bit of training and I still have a bike, which it's in a million pieces right now, but we throw that thing back together and, start riding a little bit just here and there, whatever I can do. And I think it would be good to just come and have some fun, really, man. That's what I'm all about these days.
Exactly.
Just having fun, man.
Comeback season. I like it. But honestly, so it like, and I've said this before, but I felt the same way. Like, I think I was ready to be done. Like I wasn't really having that much fun. I was burned out. I was all these things. And I'm so glad that, I did the 25 plus thing for those handful of years because like I fell in love with it again. And it didn't even take like any time. It was just like, I was spending a little bit less money. Like it was just back to being fun. Like there was no pressure. Like it was simply to have fun. It
didn't consume your entire being, like it,
right.
And now like you have a wife and you got dogs and, you got all this other stuff going on in your life too. I mean, to be a top tier athlete, I mean, it consumes your whole life almost, It has
to.
If you want to be the best, that's like you look at like Tom Brady or someone like that. And like I've seen interviews and stuff about like from his wife and stuff. And like football is his first love, she would say like she's second,
Right.
And I think that's the truest thing you can. I mean, if you want to be the best, it's your number one priority day in and day out.
That's what makes
how it goes.
that's what makes the best the best. You know,
Absolutely.
That's what makes those guys that are at the tip of the spear. That's what makes them so good, is because they're willing to, that's the only thing that they care about, you know? And, yeah, like you're exactly right. So again, like, I'm glad to hear that you want to be around it more, no matter what that means, because again, like, I fell back in love with it, and I'm here today doing this because I fell back in love with it. Like, my story would be so much different if I would have just walked.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So when you think back on your career, like specifically your pro career, how do you remember it?
I would just say, like, it was amazing, really. That would be my first word.
Good.
I mean, yeah, there was hard times and there was sucky moments, but at the end of the day, dude, it was amazing just to race 4 full seasons in the pro class, not really get injured, you know, have some good finishes, some good races, good battles, man, with the best in the world. I mean, yeah, definitely the good outweighs the bad for sure.
Good.
Just overall, even not just the pro class, but the whole time. I mean, it was always never easy, you know, it was always a struggle. My dad worked his butt off to especially in the beginning, to even get me to the races and do what we did. And I think the only reason he kept breaking out his checkbook is because I kept winning in those days, you know.
Right.
But I think my story might have ended back then, but you know, it's just looking back on the career, I'll never forget it, man. That's the memories and things I've done, people I've met, places I've been. You can't beat it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's good memories, because it should be. Like you said, you know, like I feel like especially like growing up in the era that we were, you know, you felt like you're grinding just to try to make it to the top. You're trying to make it to the pro class. Like when you get there, like there's some golden goose, you know, and that's not really how it works. But, but at the same time, like that golden goose, that golden egg is like those memories, those experiences, you know, being all over the country with your dad, like all those, it's just like that's invaluable. Like for sure. Like I am a rich man, you know, not with the green dollar bills, but I'm a rich man for that reason.
With life experiences. I'm rich with experiences, man. For sure. I can say that with ease. I've experienced so much in the sport over the years, man. I mean, especially the national years, like, you know, from just meeting Jeffrey when I was 11 years old, 10 years old, and he was a little older than me, and he kind of like took me under his wing and kind of brought me into the cool kids club.
Right.
And in the beginning, he probably only did it because I was fast. But no, we clicked right away, man. I remember going down to his house. I think the first time I went, I was like 16 or something.
Okay.
And I mean, I've gone down, you know, almost every year since for a little bit. So those guys, man, they're like my second family down there, really. I mean, for years I've spent down there, and you know, just there's so many more people that I met. He's just a great example for me to use. But so many people in the industry, and just it's life changing. Like you said, the memories and experiences, you can't beat them. I'll
Priceless.
take it all day. Yep.
Priceless.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm glad that it's good memories. I'm glad that's what stands out. And this has been so much fun, pal. This is, you know, lived up to the hype. I can't thank you enough for doing this, by the way. So
dude, we've been talking for damn near 2 hours.
I know
that's pretty good, dude.
So I want to kind of finish this off with some rapid fire, you know, broader questions about your career.
Okay.
So starting with your favorite quad, if I was to ask you your favorite quad, you had some sick rides over the years, what would you tell me?
My Super Mini Mod, my 150, hands down, easy answer.
I knew that was gonna be the answer.
That was the first Roberts chassis ever built, and that thing was just money. It just worked.
Yeah.
And then I lost track of it. I don't know. Logan Stanfield bought it, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And after that, I don't know where it went. but that was a good bike. And I wish I could have hanging in the garage.
So somebody out there right now is listening, like, I got that thing.
Yeah, please. I hope. Who has it? I would love to see it where it's at these days. I have no clue.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that was going to be the answer. So, okay. So toughest competitor or fiercest rival? Does anybody come to mind?
Oof. Man. I'm probably gonna say Brian Kinsvogel, dude. Just from on the local level and at a couple of nationals, like we've got into it, dude. Like almost our dads are about to be rolling around in the dirt, and like I'm ready to come fight you too, dude. But like at the end of the day, we always like squashed it and we got over it. But yeah, I mean, I would say he just over because I've had run-ins with him at locals and at nationals. So I would say that's has to be my number one over the years, you know?
Yeah. So Brian, he made it to racing like Pro-Am and stuff at the national level. He won races. I don't know if he ever won a national title. Can't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if he could have not got hurt and if they would have stuck with, I mean, he was
he was a good rider. I think he needed to be at the nationals more and
but they were doing it within their means. They were doing
exactly.
They were doing it within their means, but like very, very talented kid. I did not expect that to be your answer, but it makes perfect sense now that you say it because there was this thing.
We battled for years. Like there was a window of at least 5 to 6 years where it was, I couldn't get away from the kid. Right. I battle him at locals and then we go to the nationals and he's there too. Like
can't get away
we're always battling. So like,
right.
I mean, that's just, there's other ones, but I think he's the most longest term and at, both levels, like local and national. So that's why I chose him.
Well, and both families, both you riders, like fierce competitors, they would and this goes both ways, but speaking on their behalf, they would give you the shirt off their back.
Absolutely.
They would take a bullet. They would have taken a bullet for you. Like at the end of the day, it was like the Wisconsin crew, kind of had to stick together. But yeah, so I was not expecting that answer, but it's a good one. Okay. Favorite race or favorite racing memory?
I'm going to have to say it was one of the years I was racing Pro-Am at Redbud.
Okay.
And the first moto I pulled the whole shot and I checked out and left everyone.
Okay.
And then in the second moto, I got like a 5th or 6th place start. And I remember charging through the field and I passed Brett Music and Parker Waworka, Wesley. Well, I think Wesley started right behind me and he came with me through the pack.
Okay.
But just all the top guys at that point in Pro-Am and they were all in front of me. And I, at Redbud on a rough track, I freaking came through the pack and I passed them and I won that sucker. And, I got the overall. And I just think it's just something about that weekend and that race. It's just that it was always felt special to me.
Okay. Yeah. That's a great one for sure. Okay. So if you could go back in time and could change one thing about your career, would you do so? And if so, what would it be?
That's a tough question.
And the answer can be no. Like if you're happy with every,
well, I'm just trying to, think real quick, but honestly, no, man. Maybe I take it a little more serious at times because I think I was a little loose with it at points in my career.
Okay.
But overall, man, I'm happy with it. I worked hard and I really put my heart and soul into it at the end of the day. And I think I'm happy with it.
Yeah. I think that's the right answer. I really do. I feel like you were on a great path. You're good where you are now. You're happy with everything you accomplished. You're happy with the way it went. Like that's the right thing. So I want to piggyback off that though. So if you could go back and offer, like some words of advice for a younger rider or a younger you, what would that be?
Okay. Yeah, I got some. I would just say to don't get upset at the little things, and don't let the little things wreck like your day or your week. You know, when something stupid happens, and especially if it's out of your control, um, don't let it bother you, man. Shake it off, and you know, just do what you need to do to fix it and to come back and just be better, you know. I think at points I let little stupid things, you know, whether it mess with my mind or just my overall, you know, what I did that day, or, you know, how I felt.
Yep.
Just don't let the little things bother you, man. Just you focus on what you need to do and do it.
And cherish it. Cherish
And
it.
cherish it, for sure.
Enjoy it. Yeah, exactly. You're hitting the nail on the head there. Okay, so let's bring this thing full circle. So you were just at Deckers. We talked about Jeffrey. Inevitably there were some other people riding down there. Obviously, Deckers is the place to be.
Oh yeah.
So did anyone else impress you while you were down there?
Well, I mean, obviously Joel looks good. I mean, he's gonna look good. His dude's an animal.
Yes.
I don't know. I really didn't get to see Hogue ride that much. He was having some issues when I was there. But I know he's working hard. The dude can train like a beast.
Yes.
Zach looks good, man. I know he's not pro class yet, but
well, expectation is he's going pro class. So
is he? Okay. Well, I didn't even know that. Okay.
Hey, I got confirmation in the last couple of days that he has a pro license.
Okay. Well, that's cool. That's good for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, Zach looks good, which it is his place and his facility, but he looks good. And I'm trying to think of who else was there. Molander was there. Stanfield is there too. Stanfield, he's looking good. I think with a little bit of experience and time in the pro class now.
Yep.
I think he knows what he needs to do and what has to be done. And he's just doing it out there. You know, he's down there training, getting ready, potentially at the best facility and place to, you know, be at as a quad racer to prepare for this.
Not potentially. It's a slam dunk.
Okay, is the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I look for him to make improvements this year. I believe he should, you know, be around that top 5 window in races on days. And I think he expects that too.
I think so too. I mean, he's so rock solid. You know, you weren't at all the races last year. You were watching it go down. He's so rock solid. He was like 8th basically at every single race. He was in the top 10 at every single round. So if he takes a half a step forward or a step forward, he's going to be in that next mix, you know, near the top 5, which we know he's capable of. We've seen him do it once before.
For sure. You know, and like I said, he's got a little experience now in the pro class, and it's not so fresh. And you know, I want to see him do good, because I watched him grow up as a kid. You know, he bought my 150 mod and he won on it. I think Tyler Mack as well. He was a ripper back in the day. I think he also owned it at some point as well. So just a fun story to touch on. I just popped in my head, but I look for Logan to improve this year, and overall, I think he's going to get into the top 5 and mix it up with them guys.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Okay, so you still follow the races, you're still paying attention to the results and everything like that from last year. You're still, you know, you've been, you know, down at Deckers, you still know what's going on, you know, all the storylines, everything like that. So what we need to get you doing, Sam, we need to get you playing Digging Deep ATVMX Fantasy.
Okay.
And so we're going to end on this. So I want you to give me your Digging Deep ATVMX fantasy picks for Daytona.
Throw me on the spot.
So, right. Okay. So starting with tier 1. So your choices would be Chad Wienen or Joel Hetrick. Who are we taking for Daytona only? Because remember, it's like daily fantasy. It's like playing fantasy football daily style, where, you know, you can change your team every week. So this is Daytona only. Chad Wienen or Joel Hetrick. Those are your 2 choices for tier 1.
Man, I'm gonna go Chad on this one. I think especially after the chaos last year with Joel and even Jeffrey, there was mad chaos around those guys at Daytona. I think both of them guys are just going in there.
Yeah.
And they just want to get out of there smoothly with a good finish and healthy. And I that's pretty much the only reason I say Chad, because I think Joel at the end of the day, he's usually a little bit faster. But I think he's maybe going to just be holding back a little bit, just get the season started with a good finish and, get out of there healthy. And I'm strictly speculating he might come out and dominate, but that's just how I personally feel at this moment.
Right. I mean, we've seen an issue at the first race hinder Joel before, like it's happened.
Multiple times.
It's happened multiple times. So I think, yes, like there's that saying, you used to hear Ricky Carmichael talk about it, where you can't win the championship at the first race,
but you can lose it. And we've seen some of that, with Joel in the Daytona ATV Supercross before. But like, if thinking back to last year, Joel's first year on the Yamaha, like he was ridiculously fast at Daytona. He was ripping. That's for sure.
And so that's one aspect. The other aspect is Chad's won it like most every year. So I don't know. He's won it like 5 times of the 8 or something. I think that's what the number is. And so you don't want to mess with Chad there either. So that's probably a safe pick. So remembering your Digging Deep ATVMX fantasy team. So you got 4 riders, 4 tiers making up your squad. So tier 2. Now this is what I always consider.
This is an easy choice for me.
I figured so. So tier 2, tier 2 is basically like the guy who, you're assuming is going to finish out the podium. So let me just say your options. Your options are Bryce Ford, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Nick Janusa, Brandon Hogue, Max Lindquist, and then it would be Wesley Wolf, but we know he's out. So Jeffrey Rastrelli is your pick.
Yeah, I mean those guys are all solid, man. But he's my boy, and I'm telling you, like I said, I'm not just saying it to say it. He's serious, man. That's all I'm gonna say. He's serious this year, and he's hungry.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting to watch. That tier 2 there. That grouping was the most fun grouping to watch last year, week in and week out. So it's
hands down. That's usually where the action's at. So
absolutely it is. Okay. So tier 3, these are guys who, maybe rounding out the top 10, but are going to challenge, maybe getting close to that top 5. So only a few options here in tier 3: Logan Stanfield, Cody Ford, Michael Allred, Zach Decker. Who are you choosing from those 4?
For me, I think we talked about Logan. I think I'm going to go with Logan Stanfield.
You have to rock solid.
He's, especially like Decker's a little ripper, he's fast, but especially at Daytona, the track's weird. And if that's going to be his first pro race, it's opening pro race, his rookie season, like the nerves are going to be high. So I'm going to go with, I think, Logan. I think he's been building a solid foundation to do well this year. I think if he really puts his all into it, I think he's easily up there competing for some top 5s.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Especially like people playing the long game, like we're giving out some cool prizes week after week. Biggest prizes are at the end of the year. I think if you put Logan on your team every week, like, you're going to come out on top.
Consistent,
you're going to come consistent. You're going to come out on top for that week a lot of times, but I think that's the safest long game as well. Kind of cool.
You got to pick, you got to have your risky picks, but for Daytona, I think that's a solid pick. The Mr. Consistent, because Daytona always gets wild, man.
See, the other thing too is there's not a 2-moto format, so that's the other thing is like with only one moto, there's not that many points up for grabs, which makes like every point count that much more in the game. And there's no second moto to balance it out. Like if somebody, has a little mess up or screw up or whatever, like you need to stick with it. So no matter how you cut it, Logan is a safe pick. So bear with me here. Your last rider to add to your team. Okay. So Cesar Jimenez, Vitek Nikenyak, who we know isn't going to be there. So Cesar Jimenez, Vince Merman, Michael Perkins, who's dealing with a little bit of an injury, but I think he should line up. Zach Harris, Marshall Smith, 46 years old. Marshall Smith. Jacob Stevens is not going to be there. He's in the game, but he's not going to be there. Patrick Turini, coming from Italy. He's going to be one to watch. Ty Hudson, I don't think is going to be there. Potentially Joe Bird. Can you imagine adding Joe Bird to your team as your tier 4 pick? I keep telling him, I'm just poking him. I'm poking him, trying to get him to actually do it.
Yeah, that would be something else.
He would be such a wild card. And then Pablo Galizzi. So a new rider to the States here, but another Italian champion. So the guys that we think are going to line up: Cesar Jimenez, Vince Merman, Michael Perkins, Zach Harris, Marshall Smith, Patrick Turini, possibly Joe Bird, Pablo Galizzi. Do you have anybody that stands out there as your 4th rider to your squad?
I think I'm gonna show some love to my boy Vince. I've known him for a while. Not super close with him, but whenever I see him, we always have a talk and a good conversation. He's a super good dude, and I seen some posts on social media. I know he's somewhere. I'm not sure where he's at. I know he's somewhere. The track looks pretty sweet too.
Paffords.
It is Paffords. Okay, that place is sick. I've been there and rode that place. It's very fun. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go with him. I think he's gonna. I think he's another one. This is his second year now in the pro class.
Second year. Yep.
He's got a year where he's got some experience and something to build off of, and I hope to see him do well.
Solid team. That's a strong looking squad right there. Chad Wienen, Jeffrey Rastrelli, Logan Stanfield, Vince Merman. That could be the winning combo right there.
Hey, it might be.
And I haven't touched on this yet. We posted about it. I might have said it on the last episode, but most of these races this year, courtesy of Rocky Mountain ATVMC, we got gear being given away to the winners of some of these races, MSR gear. So that's pretty exciting. Some cool prizes as always. Got all kinds of goodies to give away. So I keep telling people, signups for season 2 of Digging Deep ATVMX Fantasy are now open. Sign up to get in on, like I was just saying, all the weekly and season ending prize opportunities, bragging rights, and all the fun today. Sign up at atvfantasy.com to prove ATV motocross better than the rest of us. Sam, this is a blast. I can't thank you enough for doing this. Is there anything left that we didn't touch on? I feel like we touched on just about everything we could. I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole of,
we could always go on.
We could talk about, Nerf basketball in the basement. We could talk about, going to sporting events all over the
reflex
place.
Tournaments.
Oh my God.
With a bracket and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Madden tournaments. I mean,
oh yeah. Yeah,
I mean, there's much more we could talk about, and who knows, maybe at some point during the season we can bring me back on and talk about how the year's going and maybe talk about some more old memories.
So this is the thing. Like you said, you're going to Daytona. Yeah. So I think what we need to plan on doing is having you come back on after Daytona. To talk about the races, you can
get the inside scoop, get
the inside scoop from Jeffrey's, Jeffrey's program there and tell us about the racing and all that. I don't know if I'm going to go yet. I haven't decided. I can't, it's hard to tell, like if I can cover it better, in my cockpit with all the screens going and the live stream and everything. But I don't know if it's better for me to be there or be behind the screen. We'll see. But yeah, I would like to get you on after that. We can talk about the racing, because this has been a blast. I feel like we can break it down pretty well. And if you're down for it,
and we both know the sport very well, so we could definitely analyze, and we could wait till maybe the recap comes out too, so you can see a little bit of riding and how the track was and stuff. And I think it would be a great time.
Yeah, I appreciate that, pal. Yeah, if you're down for it, we'll plan on it. But again, like I can't thank you enough for this. This is so much fun. I was pumped to tell your story, pumped to talk about Jeffrey being, his program coming together with you being right there, and then tie it all up with all this other stuff. Like I wish the gate was dropping tomorrow on Daytona.
Yeah. For sure, man. I'm pumped up about it too. I think it's going to be a good year racing, man.
Yeah. Well, let's get you playing Digging Deep ATVMX Fantasy. Let's get you back out.
I'll have to give it a shot at least, for Daytona. You hear my picks here. That's money right there. That's the winner.
Yeah. So we'll get you playing that. We'll get you back here to talk about some racing and break down all the action. It should be so much fun, especially get you on these review shows. Those are always a blast, and talk about the racing. Feel like we got a month to go yet before the first gate drop, but we broke down as much as we can break down, we need some fresh
it'll go quick though. It'll go quick. I'm excited for it though. I Daytona, more than ever, it's always just kind of a wild card race too. You never know what's going to happen there. So,
last year it was crazy. It was pure craziness. And still to this day, our review show after the carnage and the flipping and everything that went down there, that was our biggest episode by a mile because everybody wanted to hear.
Crazy.
Everybody wanted to hear the scoop. So,
well, I remember because there was no live footage or anything. So
right.
I'm watching live timing and I'm texting Nikki, what the hell is going on? and she was telling me about Joel and Jeffrey. And I'm like, oh my goodness, disaster, dude.
No, that's crazy. Yeah, you're getting me hyped. So looking forward to the races. But again, pal, I can't thank you enough. This has been a blast. Looking forward to everything that's ahead for us. And this is the first of many times to have you on here. This is going to be so much fun. And I'm so glad to hear that you're going to be more around the races because that's where you belong.
Yeah, that's the goal, man. That's the goal. It's time to come hang out a little bit at least,
Yeah. Well, hey, you're the man. I appreciate this so much. Have a great night. I'm looking forward to doing this again soon. Looking forward to do more of this, and we'll get you back on again soon, pal. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, Cody. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
You're the man. That's Factory Sam Rowe. Factory Sam Rowe. Now you know the story. Put some respect on it. Use that Factory Sam Rowe name. That's Factory Sam Rowe right here on the Digging Deep ATVMX podcast. Thanks, pal. Man, that was so cool. Reliving great memories with an old friend and bench racing about ATV motocross. Doesn't get much better than that. Great times. I have to thank Namura Technologies for bringing you our featured guest tonight, your one-stop shop engine component supplier. Visit your local dealer or online at www.namura.com for more info. Major thanks to Factory Sam Rowe for being here with us tonight. Thanks to producer Dallas Jansen, my brother, for all his hard work. Thanks to Brooke and AMA official Harv Whipple. Thanks to all of our donors. You know who you are. We appreciate you so much. Thanks to all of our partners, CST Tires. Go to shop.csttires.com today. Yamaha, thanks to Blue Crew. Ssi Decals, DID Racing Chain, Namura Technologies, Bronco ATV and UTV Components, Impact Solutions, Launderville Steel Enterprises and Concrete Supply, the financial advice of the Haymauer Financial Group, Forworks Carbon, DP Brakes, Factory 43, Integrated Financial Concepts and their Safe to Race and Safe to Ride insurance programs, Binky's Forever ATC Museum, Evans Waterless Power Sports Coolant, and Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with code DIGGINGDEEP20 at manscaped.com. Support the brands that support our show, and don't forget to use those codes to save. Find it all on our website, and be sure to click those Rocky Mountain ATVMC and Amazon banners for all your gear and parts needs, everyday needs, and to help us out. And most of all, thanks to you guys for listening. All of our show merchandise is available at shop.diggingdeepatvmx.com, so check that out. If you're looking for an easy way to help support us, visit our website and click the Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee buttons. This allows you to set up a one-time or monthly contribution to support our efforts. And use our voicemail line, guys. Send in your questions, stories, and or topics so we can play them on the show and react to them. Don't hesitate so we can play your voice on the show. That number is 920-569-3519. We want to hear from you, so give us a call. Follow the show on social media, Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast, and myself, Cody Jansen, for additional content, coverage, and more fun stuff as the 2022 season is now just around the corner. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and more. Wherever you find podcasts, you'll find the Digging Deep ATVMX Podcast. All episodes, additional podcast providers, sponsor links, and discount codes, our show merchandise, fantasy info, and more can all be found on our website, diggingdeepatvmx.com, so check that out today. I am so stoked for Season 2 of Digging Deep ATVMX Fantasy. Sign up for ATV Fantasy is now open, so get in on the prizes, the bragging rights, and all the fun. Winner of Digging Deep ATVMX Fantasy at Daytona is going to earn themselves a brand new pair of riding gear, so head over to atvfantasy.com today to sign up now. Be a friend, tell a friend, please download, subscribe, rate, review, and share. And with that, for Sam Rowe, Brooke Catherine, Dallas Jansen, and I'm your host, Cody Jansen. Thanks for listening and making us the #1 podcast in ATV racing with over 130,000 downloads monthly in 80 total countries. Until next time, thanks for joining us in Digging Deep with the Stars of ATV Motocross. Things are crashing and burning here at the Digging Deep podcast, much like the Titanic.
Those guys were hauling ass, for real.
I remember watching Doug Gus, I don't know who it was, Steel City, running the same times Friday afternoon as James Stewart was on Sunday back then. It was mental. I've never seen quads go that fast.
Quad leaders are freaking gnarly.